Hello there. So tonight I think it's time to show you a model I've been a little bit hesitant to include right next to a model that I'm, of course, pretty proud to have. These are both Pagani Zondas. Of course, one of them, it's almost an unfair comparison as far as the quality between these two, because this one over here, the Zonda R, is made by Auto Art, and it's not just by Auto Art, but it's one of their more detailed models, and also much more pricey. While this one here in the foreground, the Zonda F, which is the basic supercar, if you could say that, just the road-going version, which is made by, I believe, Motormax. Now, I do have other models made by Motormax, and sometimes the quality is definitely acceptable. They're certainly, an inexpensive brand, and the detail usually is, a little more simplified, which is fine, because, with some models, that still is quite good enough. But other models, it seems like by design, they've really kind of cheaped out on a lot of things. So this particular model, the Zonda F, when it arrived in its box, the entire dashboard and steering wheel section, it's just one big piece of plastic, was just floating around inside the cockpit, sitting on the seats, which is obviously not where it should be. So I considered sending it back, but then I realized that in all of my time collecting models, I've never disassembled one before. So I went online and watched a few videos on disassembly of 118 car models, particularly with regard to people who customize. So I figured if I ever want to customize someday, then it would be nice to know how to take apart one of these cars and actually put it back together again successfully. And in the meantime, I would try my hand at repairing this one so that it was more or less, assembled the way it was supposed to be. And unfortunately, the more you know closer knowledge inside the model, the more you realize that that's how they've spared quite a lot of expense, shall we say. And the reason that this came apart so easily was just because it wasn't really well made to begin with. And the little plastic tabs and whatnot that should kind of make it so that the parts all fit together well and snap in place and stay there. Even those little tabs were, not very robust, not very many of them, and just generally not designed in such a way that the model would very easily stay together unless treated very, very gently. So that was kind of disappointing. And also, the design of the steering rack in the front, I mean, it looks like they've actually put a mechanism across to link the two wheels together and would, facilitate steering the wheels left and right. But they didn't complete the design, so they don't have room to move back and forth. There's actually a big piece of plastic on each side that stops the wheels from moving. It stops the steering rack from moving more than about a couple of millimeters. So it seems like one of those were an afterthought, and basically the result is the steering doesn't really work. And the way that the steering wheel actually threads through there is not even very, tight. But no matter what, I still love the Zonda F as a car, and this model does look beautiful now that it's reassembled. And as long as I don't look too closely at it or too critically, obviously, because there are some other little things that are give it character, so to speak, which is another way to say that it has flaws. One of the things is that you have to open the doors before you can open the engine cover. And the engine cover does open a nice degree, but this engine is just a sheet of plastic that's kind of been molded into the shape of what you see here, and there's been a little bit of metallic paint on top of the black plastic. So once again, it looks cool, sort of resembles the real thing, but if you look too closely, you'll see that, the level of detail is not particularly good. So there's one tiny little Mercedes logo on the engine block right here, and that's it. I believe it's supposed to be an AMG engine. But anyway, I still think it's a beautiful shape. And these lovely flowing lines are really neat. All right. So those of you who may be fans of this channel probably have seen this model before. I did a video a while back of the Zonda R on its own, and a lot of my channel, of course, has been forever in a experimental phase, because since I don't have time to, make videos on a regular basis, once a week or once a day, a couple times a day, just very often I'm always trying new things. And of course, there's always the element of what equipment I have available at the time. So, I hope this video revisiting this beautiful Zonda R model will have something new. So, but so many cute little decals. The other thing that's funny is these little red buckles. There are these little red straps with the silver buckles on them for the body panels. Let's see if we can get the doors open here. There we go. Now, obviously, with a model at this level, I would say, I'm not real sure what you would call this. It's a fairly high-end model, without just being, to the level of detail where price is no object. Brands like Top Marks or Exodo. But it's certainly very, very detailed, and probably 10 times the cost of what most of my models run. Since most of my collection is by brands like Maisto, where you get a pretty good amount of quality, especially now, and detail, without having to stretch your finances too far. But yeah, this one, you definitely get a lot of detail. And if I remember, this door doesn't like to stay open, but I do need to there we go. This whole engine cover comes off like this. And as you can see inside the engine bay of the Zonda R, the amount of detail is very impressive. I don't remember the exact count of individual parts that go into this model, but it's a lot. And you can see all of these pieces are metal. These little springs for the suspension. There's these tiny little pieces of metal for, things like, I'm guessing they're anti-roll bars and stuff like that. The dampers. Yeah, there's just pieces going all over the place. And the detail, even these little bars that hold on the rear diffuser, the exhaust, these beautiful pipes that all come together in this group of four, and the little AMG logos on the actual engine block. It's just all very impressive, and I love all of this carbon fiber everywhere. So, this car definitely looks like it's very fast, capable of a ridiculous lap time around the Nürburgring Nordschleife. And the sound of this engine is amazing, by the way. If you are a car enthusiast, I would definitely encourage you to look on YouTube. Pagani themselves released the full onboard of this car doing a time attack around the Nürburgring and getting, I think, a 6 minutes and 40-some seconds, 47 seconds, something like that. Really fast, though. I mean, granted, I'm not sure about these tires as far as being road legal, but that's still a very, very impressive lap time for what is basically a production car. Technically a production car, but just not legal to be driven anywhere. Mostly because it's so loud. Really, really loud. And it howls. So, it's even too loud to be driven on a lot of racetracks, if you can believe that. But it is absolutely beautiful. My hands find it a little bit of a challenge to, with this delicate choreography that is getting the engine cover back in place. There we go. Oops, still not seated properly. There we go. I was a little scared when I first got this model and the body panels weren't seated really tight. Is that actually a front suspension that works? Look at that. The rear doesn't, or either that or it's modeled so that it doesn't move. I don't know if that's the way the real car is. But yeah, I'm always nervous when applying a lot of force to a car model, because I don't want to break anything. But yeah, this car is pretty extreme, as you can see. Beautiful. Alright, well, I hope you enjoyed that. And if you're still here, leave me a comment, shall we say, what you think about Pagani, and what's your favorite Pagani model, for the real car, I should say. If you like the Zondas, or the new Huayras, or any other kind of cars that they've been doing. So thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this little look at these models. And like I said, leave me a comment, and I hope you have a great night. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.